Stardate 96896.29. You are listening to Star Trek Discovery Pod, the podcast that covers every single episode of Star Trek Discovery on CBS All Access. My name's Mike Moody, and with me tonight is
Grant Davis
and
Clyde Haynes.
And last but not least,
Myrriah Gossett.
That's how we started.
How we do it?
I don't know.
did I set that tone?
I guess so.
I talk like a staccato man. The end is finally here, guys. Not that we wanted the season to end, but it's here. And of course, I'm talking about the season 2 finale of Star Trek Discovery, which
This was the last episode?
we all just watched. Well, a few weeks ago, we thought episode 11 was the last episode, didn't we?
Yeah,
but
we were wrong.
But Andy Rapp set us straight on that.
Anthony, right?
Anthony Rapp.
You guys
I know
are
his name.
Best pals. Andy.
Tony
Rapp. Okay.
We just lost a listener.
We're
Anthony
drinking.
Rapp.
We're drinking a little bit, listener. All right, let's talk about this. We'll be discussing the episode in depth in just a few minutes. First, I want to remind everybody to visit us at StarTrekPod.com. You might be thinking, why do I want to go there? I don't need to go to your dumb website to listen to your stupid podcast. I listen on Apple. I listen on Spotify. I listen wherever.
It's kind of a good point.
It is a good point.
Yeah, there you go. Don't go, I guess.
Yeah.
I want to see where he's going with this.
I mean,
He's just agreeing with them.
moving on. That's all well and good, but if you go to StarTrekPod.com, you'll find links to all of our social media pages, including our Twitter, our Facebook, our Instagram, plus you'll find our contact info and more info all about this podcast. We've covered every single episode of Discovery since the show premiered, and we encourage you to check out our back catalog wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate and review us on your favorite podcast app. That is a great way to support us. Grant, tell the listener how else they can support the pod.
Here's another good reason you guys want to make sure you go to that website, because it's going to have a link to patreon.com/StarTrekPod, or you could just go directly to patreon.com/StarTrekPod. And what is this Patreon? You rare caveman who just crawled out and this is the first podcast you're listening to, I guess? I don't know. Patreon allows you to help support podcasts you love or podcasts that you just tolerate, like us. If you're just tolerating us, that's fine, but give us your money. Well, that's all we really are here for. This is the only reason we're doing this. Not because we care about Star Trek. We just love money.
We need gas money.
Please help support all the content that you do love, including if you love this podcast. Go to patreon.com/StarTrekPod and give us $1 or $2 per episode. That really helps us out. We try to put the money to good use so that we can buy all the spumoni that we want. And
Get decked out in time crystals.
we just need all these healing time crystals that we wear around our necks. We look really good. Anyway, we appreciate all of your support, and if you guys give us $2 an episode, you get to join our exclusive Slack channel that allows you guys to chat with us and fellow Trek fans that have already joined up. We're getting like a ton of people over there.
Yeah, it's approaching 40.
It's a pretty awesome crowd, and everyone is really passionate. Everyone is very polite and encouraging.
And I had to turn my
group.
I had to turn my phone off tonight because the Slack keeps going off.
Yeah, I muted a bunch of channels because
Yeah.
it's like no one's spoiling nothing for me today. But once again, Star Trek Pod or patreon.com/Star Trek Pod. Thank you guys for all of your support thus far, and we are also going to be kind of going on hiatus. We're not going to be posting as frequently probably in the off season, so good time to get on in and at least join us while we console each other and theorize on what season 3 holds.
Yeah, and before we dive into the season finale, I need to make an announcement, and this is a first for the pod. And this is exciting. It's exciting, guys. Get excited.
Oh, boy.
Woo! Yum,
Wow.
yum.
I like the enthusiasm. Yeah.
I was getting nervous. I don't even know.
This is the first time we've ever done anything like this before. We set up a hotline where you, the listener, can call in and leave us a message, and we'll play your message on a special listener feedback episode that we'll record sometime next week. So we're at the end of the season, and we know you have your takes on the season finale and the season as a whole, where season 3 might go, whether or not Spock will grow another beard, whether or not you want Captain Pike to spin off on his own show, whatever. So call us, Leave us a message about anything Trek, anything Discovery related, anything pod related, whatever. And the toll-free number is 833-TREK-POD. That's 833-873-5763. And I'll mention the number again before we sign off.
Dude, that's really cool. So if someone calls into this number and like they mess up their message, they should probably just hang up and redo it, right?
That's all you got to do.
Yeah, hang up, call again, just say it nice and clean so we have a good clean take that we can post up on the episode.
Save us the editing time. Or we should say save Mike the editing time.
Hey, Mike, I got a question for you. So can I call and leave a message and you'll play it on the show?
No.
If it's good.
I thought about calling just to test out the line and being like, hey, it's Myrriah. Bye.
I'm not going to play that. What have I done?
But Mike will have to listen
I'll
to
have
it.
to fucking listen. Well, the
Oh,
cool,
this is going to be fun.
the emails I get from the service transcribe, of course, we already got one message, and the transcription was all fucked. So,
Thanks,
Yeah.
Robots.
all right. So we really want to hear your messages, guys. We'll play them on the show. We'll answer questions. We'll talk about your comments. Hail us. Is what I'm saying. We're looking forward to it.
833
Trek Pod.
Trek Pod.
Okay. Let's
You got to say like hot takes. Trek Pod.
833 Trek Pod.
There you go.
All right, let's crack open this time crystal. Let's spore this drive. Let's make these ears pointy. Let's burn them like burn them. You know what?
What
I
do
got
you-
more. I got more.
He does. You have a whole list of these.
Let's fuck this pike. Wait,
Oh, no.
Did I say
Whoa.
that?
Oh,
Did I say
oh.
Weird.
Whoa.
Let's pretend I didn't
Too
say
far.
Your diary's bleeding over.
that. It's time to talk about season 2, the season 2 finale of Star Trek Discovery, titled Such Sweet Sorrow, Part 2. Directed by Olatunde Osunsanmi, written by the new showrunner Michelle Paradise, along with Jenny Lumet, Alex Kurtzman. And like we always do, we're going to start off with some hot takes.
Hot takes! Woo!
All right.
Yum, yum.
Maybe the best line.
Yum, yum. What the fuck?
No idea where that was going.
I really like that. Who wants to give me their hot take on this finale?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I loved it.
So excited over
Oh
there.
man, no! I'm not only really excited, I also just drank a coffee, so I'm a little bit wired about everything.
Don't
But
say.
I watched this episode and I was whooping and hollering the whole time. I was really digging it. It had such amazing action sequences. It did a lot of the. It took a lot of the plots and like tied them all together. And it didn't dwell on all of the saccharine, sappy moments in the way that the last episode did. I think the last episode kind of got all of that out of its system, and it just kind of drove everything forward. And this was, I think, the longest episode of the season, and it still went racer fast. I am so excited for what we have in store for next season. I don't know. And I love that final sequence that they did. Still just kind of leaving us hanging. I love that.
So did you liked it?
It was okay.
All right.
I guess.
I'll go next. My hot take. I felt like I had to pause this like every 6 minutes and like have a cigarette. And I don't even smoke. This was just a nonstop wall-to-wall banger, and I almost couldn't take it. I needed breaks. Don't underestimate how many breaks I needed throughout this episode. This was nuts. Maybe too nuts. Maybe too fast, too shiny, too pew, pew, pew. It was just crazy, but it was a fucking blast. It was a big love letter to the fans of this show. It was a love letter to Handsome Mounts Pike, who we all love, to the people who enjoyed the Spock-Burnham relationship as it grew over the season. I thought that the emotion of that relationship really paid off in this episode. I left feeling happy. I mean, I have my nits to pick, but all in all, a full hour and 10 minutes of just action, wall-to-wall action is not necessarily what I wanted, but I still really enjoyed it, and I looked happy. You know, I have my nits to pick as a Trekker, but I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, it was action-packed. I I agree. I was like, I'm going to have to rewatch this again to like fully appreciate a lot of the like special effects. Like I felt like there wasn't enough time for me to be like, ooh, we're flying through space. I really want to look at the outside of the ship. Oh, now we're flying through space again. I want to look at these cool new crazy like contraptions they have coming out of the ship. There's just like so many small details that I was like, I'm going to have to watch all of this again. But I think what I want to do is watch it with part 1 and part 2 like back to back.
Oh yeah, I like
And just kind of see how that feels. Is like almost like a feature length movie feeling.
That's interesting.
But yeah,
I really don't want to revisit that first part.
oh really? I just kind of want to see how it tonally kind of works in together, like actually back to back, because it is the same director. It's obviously the same writer's room, but it's all of the same basic principal lead writing staff on each episode. So I just think it would be interesting to see how they, from what I read about production, they did not anticipate having to do 2 parts for the finale. And so I'm interested to figure out, they came up with so much content. They're like, we need another episode. Can we get another episode? We went over budget. We need another episode.
You make a good point because this finale felt like the third act of the movie or the final act of the movie where all the action goes down. Yeah, that's a good point.
I love this episode. I know, Grant, you were waiting for me to say that I didn't, but I did.
You tricky.
I know. I love this episode, and I'm going to agree and disagree with Mike in that I didn't want the breaks. In fact, the commercials were starting to...
jarring, yeah.
Oh, I needed
They were
them.
annoying me a little bit. But look, there is so much TV out right now. I mean, we are definitely in the era of peak television. That it's hard to go back and rewatch stuff. Like it just is. But this is a rare time where I'm actually looking forward to going back and rewatching this because I felt like there's so much that I just didn't quite see or experience. And so that says a lot to me. And I am super psyched about watching the show with showrunner Michelle Paradise.
Paradise, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm super excited about where she's taking the show. And so there was just so much to some of the dialogue, the visuals, the acting. And, when we think about battle scenes, I think right now the gold standard is kind of Game of Thrones in terms of this epicness. I don't know. I think this is in that realm of kind of an epic battle scene where there's so much going on. And I love the fact that you're not quite sure who's going to make it and who's not. And I thought they did a really good job of not showing their hand too much and taking us away. It was a thrill ride from beginning to end. And with just enough kind of moments where you could kind of settle in and be subtle. And only one real nit to pick for me. But I really enjoyed it.
What's the nit?
My nit is that they're on the asteroid or whatever, and Spock and Burnham have to say goodbye. And it's all this exposition. And I'm thinking every moment that you're talking, people are dying. And yet y'all are just kind of chatting and going, this might be the last. Like,
She controls time.
yeah, but
She's a time wizard at this point.
but not like that.
Time Lord.
Like people are literally fighting for your life. Every second, someone's dying in some ship above you. And you just kind of, taking a moment to have a chat. That took me out of it a little bit, but everything else was right on.
I like what you said about comparing the action scenes to Game of Thrones, which is the TV standard now. I wasn't.
Is it though?
It is.
I would think
I
so.
think it's beyond the standard.
I mean,
sure.
It's the bar.
Well, it's the bar, is
That's
what I mean
for,
to
for
say.
greatness.
Yeah, the bar for greatness.
It's the top tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, it's like $18 million an episode here, guys. Like,
It
no,
is.
no one gets that.
No one else.
So-
Like, what is the budget of these
Yeah,
episodes?
the rookie
Because
is not doing that.
of these Star Trek
yeah.
episodes.
It's got
Not
to be.
not 18 million.
It's at
It
least like
looks fantastic.
It looks
It does look great. They
fantastic.
it's
spent
like-
it wisely.
I think it's like 11 million an episode.
Yeah, I mean, you see it because, I mean, for this to be a galactic kind of battle, a space battle, I mean, you fill every moment with not just like laser fire, but like it's all meaningful.
And
You get the size and scope of it.
And they're executing this on a TV time schedule versus like Marvel movies get like 3 years to put all their special effects into these big blockbusters. And this one, they're doing this an hour each week for 13 weeks or whatever. Like, how do they manage to build these space battles like that? It looks
Star Trek
amazing.
has 8 million per episode.
I gotta say that if we're comparing this to like a Marvel movie, I think what they're doing is probably a little bit more significant. I think it's a little bit more polished than some of the Marvel movies I've seen.
Yeah, some of them.
Some of them.
One of them. So yeah, I didn't feel because with the Game of Thrones battles, you see the spectacle, but then in the great battles, you eventually like kind of narrow the focus to one or two characters, and you feel like you're following that character and everything they're going through and all the danger that's falling upon them. And we didn't get that until Burnham blasted out in the suit. And we had that wonder shot with her and everybody aiming for her, and she's following Spock. And I was in that moment. That felt to me like a little Battle of the Bastardsy, when we're following Jon Snow.
You know what it reminded me of? If anyone's watching Game of Thrones right now, I don't mean to like be too spoilery, but there's a significant scene that happens in the final season premiere that looks like a roller coaster ride. I'll just say that. And it looks like they're advertising like, oh, coming soon to Universal Studios, Game of Thrones.
Oh, they're building a studio tour in Ireland.
They straight up have to be. And I just got to say that this one also reminded me of that, but in a good way, whereas the other one reminded me of it in a bad way. The other one seemed corny to me. Well, this one, I was like, hell yeah, I want to ride through space like this. Fuck you, Ender's Game. This is so much better.
Yes, much better than Ender's Game. And if there is a ride where I can kind of
jump in a spacesuit like that?
I'm on it. I'm all in.
Well, what happened here with Burnham is that she had a mission when she jumped out in that Red Angel suit, and people were gunning for her.
Superhero pose as she's like ready to run.
It was great. The Game of Thrones scene you're talking about, it was just like, let's go play.
It's a joyride.
It was a joyride, exactly. Yeah, there were stakes here. I was
like,
great.
we have to stop because it's going to become a Game of Thrones podcast if we keep going. Because I'm like, I've watched all of those behind the scenes videos.
I will
danced
say,
around it.
if they're thinking about it, that scene would make a great video game.
Yeah.
For this,
For this would be a great video game.
It reminded me of like Pilot Wings or whatever. I want to shoot through the rings.
Exactly.
All right, guys. So who do you think is a Targaryen?
Oh no.
Oh no.
It is funny. I was thinking of this, and maybe we should say this for the end of the episode, our episode here. But which of the crew would each of us be? Is kind of a question I was thinking of, because I don't think it's something that you should answer for yourself. Like, oh, clearly I'm Captain Pike. Is that what everyone ends up saying? No, but I think we should think of it for everyone else around the room here, and we should try and decide. So let's have that in the back of our brain.
You're always making it fun, Grant. Okay, well, while we think about that, let's talk about some scenes in this episode.
Linearly?
We'll try. Got to go back in time. All right. So the Enterprise and Discovery are ready to get Burnham and Discovery through the time wormhole, and Burnham must launch in the suit. So they're surrounded on all sides. The Enterprise will maintain fire, and all of a sudden we have drones everywhere. That was okay. This battle was already. The first 3 minutes, this battle was already kind of almost incomprehensible to me in its scope and all the lasers going back and forth. And then they introduce like
Drones.
1,000 more drone ships. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to lean back and not try to understand what's happening.
It's just light show eye candy.
Yeah, that's all it was.
I did like that we did finally get the suit construction montage that we all wanted last week.
Yeah, that was so hot.
Pretty sweet. Yeah.
So that was happening. And then I love Jet Reno just being like, yes, I will stop physics so that this can charge quicker. No problem.
Okay, I think she started sassing at Saru first, and then almost everyone on the crew started sassing acting Captain Saru through the entire battle.
I love that. What did she say? Then she said "sir" at the end of it.
Yeah.
Oh, getting on the elevator.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I was trying to remember that before we started.
that was amazing. I mean,
I wrote it down somewhere over here, but it's Sir. get off my ass, sir.
Get off my ass, sir.
At first, I thought that was Tilly, but yeah, it was Reno.
No, I thought that was amazing, and I thought it highlighted kind of Jet Reno's character and what she brings to the show.
A little bit of much needed defiance to the kind of rules and regulations, but the skill and clout to kind of allow her to to be a little bit more like that.
I think what's amazing though is that's something that feels so authentic. But when you really think about it, it's a little unique to Star Trek, right?
Right. She's like the Bones-ish character,
but
right?
but even then, Bones didn't quite go that like defiant, right? Like he was.
Bones had a deeper friendship already with Captain Kirk, right?
Yeah.
So it was kind of like him razzing his bro from college, being like, but fuck you, Pike, right?
But I also
Kirk.
I also thought that
right.
like with Bones, it was him trying to just bring that reality back. Like, I'm a doctor, whereas this is like, get a grip, like
just snark.
don't talk to me that way. Like, who do you think you're? But it's needed. So I really do appreciate her character. There was something in here that I just grabbed onto, and that was the way they lit certain things. Specifically in like the first scene where they're showing us everyone. Number one is wearing the gold kind of uniform.
Are you finally appreciating these uniforms?
No, but she's sitting at the con, but they lit her with this red light, which almost makes her uniform look red, which immediately just made me think, is she gonna die? And so I was. It just kind of stuck with me the entire.
That was
episode.
a red herring.
It was a red herring.
Did anybody get the feeling that maybe she's an android?
Yeah, especially at the very end during the debrief when she says, "My name is number one."
Yeah, everybody says their name, and they all have names,
Interesting.
and she has a number.
But I thought it was just a clever editing cut. Because did you notice it went a little faster? Anyway.
But she was also
it's a little
kind of
cheeky.
They
She
have
was
it
kind of
either way.
cheeky robotic too. Yeah.
Yeah. The very first scene that we get in this episode, it is a kind of a cut between Saru and his acting number one on the ship, and then number one on Enterprise, and then Pike. Kind of like a mirror between them.
Going
which I
back
thought-
and forth
Yeah,
between the ships was so great.
But it was kind of cool because it does put Saru in that unofficial captain position. Like he's basically, for all intents and purposes, acting as captain right now of the Discovery. And I know there's some debate about how things will shake out in season 3, but I like it right now. I feel that he had some great moves, especially like with his speech to motivate everyone, and him kind of like taking charge in certain moments, how he talks to Leland. That I'm like, yeah, okay. You as a captain is kind of cool.
Yeah, I liked his moment when he was just like, what you're going to see on screen is going to look like a human, but is not a human. Everybody remember. Like,
That was kind of one of Saru's best moments, right? Like I think, so I'm big on competency, right? Like I love a competent character, a supremely competent character. And so I struggle a little bit this season with seeing Saru really as a great captain. Like if I'm putting up my captains on the wall from Star Trek, he's not on the list. But that moment might have been his best captain-esque moment because he took this moment to really not just give some speech, but really speak to his crew in a meaningful way, and something that I thought was like, okay, what you just said needed to be said.
You mean the quoting the Art of War, the Sun Tzu thing?
I like that too, but just the idea of going.
Joe had a big boner for it.
Yeah.
He was all about it.
But what you're going to see looks like a human, but is not a human. Like, I thought, like, we're going to destroy this thing, and it's not the person you think it is. I thought it was a great moment.
Did you guys know that Sun Tzu
Uh-oh.
also was in Terran, apparently, the world of the Terran Empire. And so she was familiar with that book. Unless she got here and immediately was like, I got to read this Art of War book as soon as I'm here. Got no time for other stuff.
Yeah, Saru had a really great arc throughout this entire season. He had a great arc in season 1, but he went even further this season to where he earned that captain's chair. I don't know, like you said, what's going to happen in season 3, but here he just stepped up so well. And even though everybody was sassing him, everybody still fell in line with what they had to do and the orders that he was barking. This is the most pressure intense scenario that any Discovery captain has been in that we've seen. And he kept his cool, and it was great. And right when he reminds everybody, hey, that's not Leland, that's a not Borg that you're going to see. Right away, Giorgio makes with it funny. Hey, Leland, good to see you. Everybody hates you now.
She's very direct.
So many just like little human-centric, like just comedy lines in this episode that I loved.
Yeah, she didn't give a fuck anymore.
I did love, too, when we finally find out what happens to Poe. We know now that she's not...
She stole a shuttle.
She's still a shuttle.
Yeah, like there's all these different theories about like her being invisible or hiding.
I was
And she
saved.
just stole a shuttle.
Well, I thought it was interesting that, like, not only that, but I mean, she's just a wunderkind. It seems she's able to do whatever, and she's like a tactician who's able to like see the patterns in like both in science and in battle. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty badass.
I did love the Follow the Queen, though.
Follow the Queen.
Follow the Queen. I also thought it was almost the first of like these small moments where you really saw how within the Star Trek universe, women are very valued for their leadership and their badassery in general. Because like we have Follow the Queen because she knows what the hell that she's doing, and then we get Giorgio and Nan going after Leland and the Yum Yum and like let's go kill him,
Yum.
and them just like wiping the floor with him. And then we get the two ladies trying to take down, to reprogram the freaking missile or whatever.
Torpedo, yeah.
I was just
And
like,
then Burnham saving the universe.
yes, I was just like, I am here for all of this.
And Cornwall saving the Enterprise.
Yes.
But I think that's what so many of us love about Star Trek, right? The whole point of Star Trek is it is a window into the best of ourselves. And so when you think about kind of the original series, it's the first time we saw kind of an African American in a role like that. What we see in Star Trek has always been an exposition on the culture that we live in and how it could be better. So I'm not surprised that today what we're seeing is a show where women aren't secondary characters. They play not only a pivotal role, but a pivotal leadership role. When you think about it, in this series, the most powerful politician in the show is a woman. It's Cornwall, who ultimately became the hero, the martyr, and sacrificed herself for the good of everyone. Those are the things I love about Star Trek in general, and why I'm drawn to it.
That's why.
Constantly.
That's why I watch. And we had a great moment in this episode where Leland is getting the shit kicked out of him, and he's like, "Women, stop talking."
I know. I wrote that down, but
And
I was like, excuse me?
Like, nah, bruh. No. You're gonna get a magnet up that ass right now, and that's what happened.
And you're going to deserve it.
Magnets,
and you're going to
bitch.
deserve every minute of it.
And Giorgio is going to like just stare at you as your
And
corpse
enjoy
rots
every second
like
of
a
it.
sadist. It's like,
Oh yeah,
she's kind of
it
fucked
was
up.
The Emperor of Old came back in that moment when she turned on the magnets and locked him in its spore drive. She's like, "Ooh, I like this."
We are doing a fantastic job of saying linear. I think
love it.
We've been all over the
We
place as
say it.
usual.
I don't know that we know what it means, but we're pretty good at saying the word
It
linear.
means from beginning to end and back and forth and Jeremy bear me.
So anyway, scene number 2 of the episode has everyone running up and down the halls.
Scene
and then
number
all
2.
these-
This is like one big scene.
I know. I was
like-
each line of my notebook is like a scene.
They're running down the halls. They're getting weapons, and the X-wings are flying through space. It all seems very Star Wars, in fact. For
Oh
me.
sure, even the sounds.
What is this Star? What are you talking about?
Oh man,
We don't talk about that here. This is Star Trek.
They even
on.
had little maintenance droids come on the ship. Like that's gonna piss a lot of people off.
It's going to piss so many people off.
A bunch of
Especially because they were on Enterprise.
yeah, a bunch of fucking edgelords right now. Ooh, they're fucking
wait,
Yeah.
were those not R2D2 droids?
right. Yeah,
They were adorable, whatever
Little
those were.
BB-8s.
I did not mind them.
That's not is that a new thing?
That's a new thing.
That no one has ever seen that.
I was going to
before.
ask you guys if that was like an Enterprise thing, like they have these little robots that kind of run
They're
around.
no-
No, that's
robots.
a Star Wars thing.
Okay,
That's what it is.
I loved it. They all have these little faces on them.
apparently
Yes, that's
people are going to have a whole year to just rant about this thing.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness.
Star Trek is a gift that keeps giving to jerks.
Chris, yes.
When Pike gives his little speech, it's really short, but he's basically like, hey, guys, we're about to go into battle. This is Starfleet. Get her done. Did you guys hear him say it? He goes, get her done.
Yeah, I guess like everybody in Starfleet, he likes 20th century entertainment. He prefers Larry the Cable Guy.
Blue comedy tour, man. Blue collar comedy.
He's ready.
Oh, man. I was like, what the fuck? Is that your new catchphrase?
Is that what he said?
Gone.
Get it done.
He said get it done.
done.
He
He
didn't
did say get it
her
done,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it,
yeah.
man, I thought it was basically
But
get
no,
her done.
I loved the underlining theme of that line. It's like, we are Starfleet. This is what we do. Get it done.
I just look at it
We're
as,
the best.
Well, I'd say this is not what Starfleet does anymore.
right.
No, but
No more wars.
Go on.
we save the universe.
Yeah, but this was definitely more military than
With science.
Starfleet really is. I look at it as, and I've felt this way for most of this season, is that he is trying out catchphrases, which I'm okay with.
I like them all.
It's not a nit that I'm picking. I actually like it because I think that what we're used to is a clean, crisp Star Trek that's got like engaged. Like it's very clear catchphrases. And this is like, I'm trying to figure it out. So I'm going to say, get it done, hit it. Like I'm just trying to see what sticks. And then we eventually will evolve to very clear kind of,
I like the idea of
I can't give it any more, Captain. Like they're very clear.
just
catchphrases.
dorky Pike. He's like, man, I gotta have a cool catchphrase. Let me see what
He's practicing in the mirror.
Yeah, he's workshopping.
Number
He's
one, how was
work-
that one? Was that one good? It is
And
okay.
It's all right, Captain.
I'm Rebecca Romaine.
All over my notes, I just have, this is craziness, but exciting.
Okay, they did a very notable single take shot where they zipped around all of the crew as that montage was happening, and they're all prepping. And it did a great job of showing all of our leadership commander level. I don't know the terminology, but all of our main crew like bossing other people around and like taking charge in a way. Officers, is that what they call them?
Senior officers.
Sure. All the officers, like, you know, having an underling and like yelling at him, chewing him out, like back and forth as the camera swooped around. And I liked it. It was like
Aaron Sorkin in space.
a little, but it was like, I know all these characters now, and I know that they've all earned that authority, and I am on board with like this shot and showing like everyone's like taking charge.
See, but now all I can think about is what would happen if Aaron Sorkin wrote an episode of Star Trek.
Ugh, you don't want that world.
I don't know. That could
There
be
wouldn't be
fascinating.
any women talking.
No. There would be one. We'd have a token woman.
Hey, as long as it's CJ Craig, I'm going to be
That's
happy.
true.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there was also number one talking to what's her name? What's your favorite girl?
Kayla?
Kayla. Oh,
There you go.
yeah. Oh, the split screens?
Yeah.
yeah.
The 70s style split screens. That was so
And
cool.
where she's talking to her.
In plain English,
Yeah,
please.
can you give me plain English? I'm like, if you're a robot and you can't even talk the lingo here, you're like, no country for old number ones here, I guess.
You know, she reminds me, though, of sort of the era when original Star Trek came out, though. I feel like she is giving us that, like, I have to be this very stoic female character.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stay true to who this original character sort of was and had to be in that era in order to be taken seriously. And so I feel like she's playing it correctly.
She's playing it very much like Majel Barrett in the original series.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea that what we're getting is, I mean, even from the uniforms and the style, like even when you think about kind of the style of hair, right?
Yeah.
The number one is clearly the TOS style, what we're used to. And then you compare that to Kayla, who is definitely much more 2019.
She's got like a haircut.
She's got a haircut. It's like shaved head. She's got like, you know,
Her eyepiece.
The eyepiece.
The youths.
The youth.
So hip.
Yeah.
It's I mean, and not to mention,
I'm sorry, dude. Based on that haircut, I'm going to say she definitely at least bats for at least two teams or not your team.
That's fine. She can do what she want to do.
Get a cybernetic
Mike's like,
enhancement.
whatever.
I'll just sit back and watch her. It's fine.
Oh, no.
All right. So on that note.
We get running through the hallway as they're transporting the suit, right?
Oh, yeah. And that was kind of cool because they're on the move. They're working on the
And they're
move.
like still slapping it together while it's on this gurney. Like,
I was a little worried because we sidelined Stamets pretty quickly. He gets impaled or something when they're trying to rush the suit
I know, I just wrote Stamets. And I'm like,
to the launch bay. And
I started writing my letter again.
I was never worried that he was going to die on the show.
Dear CBS, I'm tired of this. Please commit to this character. I literally started writing the letter. Again.
Oh, yeah, I knew it. I was like, man, Clyde is writing that letter.
Not only did the show commit to the character, but
Hugh comes back.
Hugh came back and said, no, I'm not in the Enterprise. You're my family. You're my home. The fact that the action slowed down for this emotional moment really sold it for me. Wilson Cruz was just
a great
fantastic.
performance.
He's just fantastic in this role.
He delivered it very earnestly.
He's great, but I wasn't writing a letter for Wilson Cruz. I mean, he's great. I love him. Fantastic guy. Thought he did a great job.
I think we've moved past this point.
I'm just saying.
I did notice, though, because I was a little worried about both of them because they started giving the doctor who never talks a personality. She's like yelling at the intercom, and
She
I
was
was like,
nice there for a minute. I was like, yeah, she's kind of cool. And
I was like, oh
Like,
no.
wow,
Are they setting her up to be the only doctor on this ship, and now we have to get to know to love her? Like, not that would be bad. I'm sure she's a wonderful human and actress, but
There's a lot of people on this ship. Like, I had an impression from the last episode that everyone who was standing in the hallway
that was it.
were the people that were just going to run this ship.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, during
There's all
battle,
these
I'm like,
underlings.
where the fuck did all these extra people come
It's the
from?
6 of them and 30 doctors. Apparently.
there are a lot of doctors.
Sick bay was just full of white suits.
So
You know who we didn't
crowded.
see, though? Where's my man Linus?
Oh, yeah.
I did not see that.
I mean, we saw a lot of aliens in sick bay, but Linus
Guys,
wasn't one of
you
them.
know the answer to this.
such a turncoat.
He's
on
on
the
Orville.
He went back to the Orville. He's hanging out with Seth MacFarlane.
No, but I agree, Grant. I was under the impression that this was going to be a smaller ship. And I was a little surprised that Giorgio stuck around and kind of concerned that Leland was sticking around. But there are a lot of people in the
Yeah,
ship.
like, so Giorgio's, I guess. Okay, here's a question I have about this whole thing. First off, Giorgio, if that ship can sprout a whole bunch of little spore spaceships that can all fly and attack, and Giorgio was the number 2 of Section 31, basically, behind Leland, how does she not know that this ship, hey, by the way, it can sprout a whole bunch of little mini ships?
I mean, but who knows if that was the actual ship she was on or just one of the ships that Leland brought with him.
But I thought he's top dog. Is he not top dog of Section 31?
Leland is, but
Leland
I
is,
got
she
the
wasn't.
I got the impression that the nanobots like made those ships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, why would... Because she
Nanobots.
provoked him into doing that.
Yeah.
Like, you're outnumbered. And he's all like... Which I thought was a great line. Count
The whole
again.
time I was just like,
That's a
guys,
good
pull
one.
out a giant magnet.
You guys just need a magnet.
This is a magnet.
Just get a giant magnet.
Fuck yeah, magnets, bitches.
Magnets, bitch.
And then the shot. Okay, I don't mean to get like emotional about shots. I wasn't really emotional.
But you're getting
Seem
emotional.
Not
emotional.
emotional.
Oh yeah.
The one thing I'd get emotional about is pretty stupid. It would be they do this I guess overhead bird's eye view, but it's in space. So I don't really know if that's the correct term. Shot
Star eye
of
view.
both those ships, like the last bastion, like holding the line, where all these ships are surrounding them and shooting them, and it was just this great shot of their shields trying to deflect all that, and they're just isolated out there in space. And it reminded me of something. First, that was a great shot. But, hey, you guys remember how Sarek was visiting the ship last episode? Mm-hmm. And how they just couldn't communicate with anyone in the Federation? Why couldn't that motherfucker Sarek, when he bounced out of there, tell the Federation, hey, they're right here, go protect them? What the fuck, Sarek? That seems like a pretty notable...
Because we
saved their ass.
We needed the moment where the Klingons show up with their fucking killer ship
Sarek
and all of
should
their
not have been there saying bye. is
all of
I
their
mean.
birds of prey
And
the
Kelpian.
Kelpians show up with the Baul ships that they fucking stole, which was fucking amazing.
Okay,
It was
dope.
amazing.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
I just think Sarek shouldn't have been in that last episode, or he should have said his goodbye, being like, "I can't see you, but I'm gonna I'm gonna three-way call your mom and me into your brain, and we're gonna talk to you from this beach where I'm doing some spiritual yoga."
Well, do you think it was more he kind of knew from that goodbye that they were going to have to jump into the future and that inevitably maybe they didn't want the Federation to be there?
He left before the battle
That's
started.
a good point.
All right, you're
Nice
giving a
one.
good loophole that I'll give it a pass. I'll give it a pass.
Very good, yeah, because at the end that's underlined where everybody's just denying everything that
Yeah.
happened.
because they give the greatest reason why Spock can't talk about shit.
Hey, look,
Love it.
greatest or not, you know that for the entire 2 seasons, this has been my issue.
This has been the writers. This is them
This is
being
their
like,
middle
fuck
finger.
all of
This
you.
is their middle finger to Clyde. This was clearly their middle finger to me.
They just
And
turned
I
the audience.
loved it.
This is why we're not talking about it, motherfuckers.
And you know what? I loved every minute of it. I ate it up and I was like,
That's so good.
Okay.
done. I was like,
Yeah.
you tied it off in a perfect bow.
Yeah.
And I'll take it.
I gotta
Like, I'll
say,
take it.
that took me out of it, of course. That was like, okay, this is a writer's course correcting. This is a writer's fixing the canon issues that some people, Clyde, have issues with. I don't give a fuck. But
I don't have any issues with it anymore. It works for me.
But I liked it better. Like, we have Karen on our Slack channel, one of our great listeners who also handles our Twitter page. Thank
Karen, you are awesome. We
Thank
love
you, Karen.
Love you, Karen.
We do love you. And she was talking to Slack about, she knew that Kurtzman, the showrunner,
Alex Kurtzman,
Alex
yeah.
Kurtzman was going to try and course correct all these canon issues, right? And she was worried that they were going to erase Michael Burnham from history, so Spock would never speak of her and erase the Discovery from history. But I much prefer this kind of writerly exercise of, we can never speak of this, instead of erasing people from history.
And look, the line of "we never talk about her in company."
It's the Fight Club rule.
I loved it. Like I said, I was like, okay, you solved. Like, this was the question that I had in the back of my mind: is why have we never heard? And you answered that, and it was plausible, and it worked for me. I'm gonna take it.
I mean, we've been doing some TV criticism podcasting for a while, and one of those rules is if there's something that's bugging you, writers can generally fix it within a couple lines of an episode if they really want to.
Yes.
That's happened like 8
true.
times this season.
They magic up an excuse, and this is why that happened.
Well, yeah. I mean, not only do they magic up an excuse. I mean, to me, you're right, because they can do it in a line. I'm looking for them to do it within the story so that it at least makes sense. It doesn't have to be super clever. It doesn't have to be like, I didn't see that coming. But I thought what they did in and I don't want to say fixing the canon, but allowing the universes to coexist in a way that, at least inside my head, isn't like, well, I love Discovery, but it doesn't make sense when I think about the original series. They fix it so I can go, now everything connects like a big puzzle piece. And that works for me.
Yeah, it feels good, right?
Feels whole.
It's like you get some closure.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to hear that it was a concern of yours and it no longer is. They fixed it.
I know because they care so much about what the hell I think, but ultimately
They do.
I here's what I think. I think that I would like to believe that there are a bunch of people out there like me who go, I love Discovery, but I'm trying to reconcile how Burnham fits into this whole piece, and now it fits. And so kudos to the writers. Like, we'll talk about who we like at the end of the show, but I thought that they should get an applause for wrapping this up in an interesting way.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see if they bring back the character from the short trek of Calypso at some point, because we obviously end up eventually seeing an empty ship in the future.
By character, are you
Yeah.
talking about the guy or
Yeah.
the ship?
The
What
guy.
was his name? Like Click or something? I don't know what it was.
I don't remember, but I'm interested to see like if that's something they play into season 3. And then to kind of your point, I I found on the Twitters before we started recording that Alex Kurtzman did an interview with The Hollywood Reporter that included a ton of spoilers, so I saved it till I was done with the episode. And he was talking about how, as a writer's room, they knew they had a lot of course correction to do this season, but they also were really excited with how much work that they put into it, so that for season 3, they can really kind of do whatever the hell they want now.
That's the exciting part. Well, okay, first, I'm a little pissed that we give nothing. Like, no teaser, no clips. Like, we've got nothing to go on for...
So my theory as to why, you know me and my theories.
Theory time.
Theory time.
We're not done with this, right?
No. We're jumping around.
I'm still like 20 minutes into the episode with notes.
We're doing this linearly, Grant. Like...
Time crystals.
We're doing this
I stored too many time crystals.
We're having a conversation.
You know. But anyway, so I was looking, and so they didn't find out that they were renewed until February, right? And they wrapped production and writing in December. And so I think they were writing in case they did not get a renewal, and it tied things up. But if they did, it made things exciting.
They did a great job of wrapping this up. I will say that. And again, I'm going to get out my pen and start writing a note to CBS for being dumb and not renewing them a little faster.
I wonder about them actually genuinely having that concern, because the numbers, as far as I can tell, are pretty great for CBS All Access, to the point where they should have been pretty confident about where this can go. I think that like writers always want to kind of have a fail-safe just in case.
Right.
There was so much turmoil behind the scenes as we've read.
That was
so I
more
think that was part
the
of
concern.
it.
Not to mention
showrunner leaving. They were over budget. They were over time. Like they had to do reshoots in December, and that's when they actually were like, "We're going to have to do two more episodes."
This thing has changed showrunners 3 or 4 times.
Not to mention $8 million an episode. You got to be real confident in that to do 14 episodes.
So we're going linearly. At the end, the last scene.
No, wait, what?
Were you guys weirded out that? I loved it, but I also thought it was odd that the final thing we see is this really elegant send-off to Pike and the Enterprise crew, and not our Discovery crew. How did that make you feel?
I have a thing from Kurtzman about that.
Oh, okay.
So they decided that
He's wrong.
the season was going to start with Burnham talking to Spock, who was gone. They were trying to find him. They did not know where it was. And it ended with Spock talking to Burnham, not knowing where she is.
Oh, okay.
So that was their little
that.
book.
Sounds like great revisionist history. Look, I was a little disappointed. It was great. I thought, again, to Myrriah's point from the Hollywood Reporter, it was a fantastic end if you are ending a series. Like, as ending of a series go, it leaves you with that, we know they're okay, and yet you can wonder about what happens. And then also, it was fantastic because what I hear everybody asking for is a Pike Enterprise show. And so if you're thinking about, well, this is going to launch that, it was a fantastic piece of that too. So I think that there's a lot of economic reasons for this to be perfect. I think for me, I'm all in on the Discovery crew. So I kind of wanted, 30 seconds, 45 seconds of something to hold on to.
I really thought there was going to be a stinger.
Me too.
Like a Marvel stinger.
Yeah,
kind
me
of
too.
thing.
Yeah.
I did watch all the way through the credits.
Yeah, I was watching the credits like, it's got to be, there's got to be something. And
Yeah, this ending is really going to fan the flames of people wanting that Pike Trek, Pike Enterprise spinoff.
They know what they have.
Yeah.
They can't possibly. And here's another thing. They invested a lot of money and a lot of careful consideration in the reconstruction of the Enterprise with a modern update.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
With casting of a crew, with getting other notable people like Rebecca Romaine on there, and that dude with a gigantic head and Darth Maul lady.
And every crew member, on the bridge on the Enterprise, got a name check at the end, too. Yeah.
Spock being on there and making such a big
Babyface Spock now.
impression, and us not knowing. I think a lot of people assumed he's going to be in season 3, and now not necessarily.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Does Discovery season 3 need to be contained to just our ship in the future, or can they cut away and have a side-running B-plot story in the past.
Please don't.
Even with like an episode
I mean, they
here or
could
there.
technically do whatever
Yeah.
they want, but
Right.
I think what's going to be more interesting is interacting with possible universes and characters that are like let's get some interaction with some Janeway. Let's get some interaction with some
The theory?
the what?
The theory?
Which one?
Oh.
The Picard?
The Picard theory. So, okay, our buddy Randy actually first posited this to me. He does a TV podcast with me. And he suggested, what if the reason we haven't heard a lot of stuff about the Picard show, including casting, release date, title, all that, is that they were actually slow cooking an entry point for Picard into season 3 of Discovery. They jump ahead in the future, but maybe they don't jump as far as we think. Or people live a lot longer. I mean, technology.
So in the interview, I'm going to keep I feel so good. I did this research.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so he said they are going to be 950 years in the future.
Right,
He said we're very excited to be 950 years in the future. So
Burnham said that number too.
They
So
are
I think
not
they're
allowed
very
to lie
specific.
to us, the
I mean, they
audience.
can definitely lie, but I think because it's been mentioned so many times, at least the majority of the plot is going to be about being at that time point.
Yeah.
So I'll ask this: are there any other shows on CBS All Access that you watch?
I don't. I've heard
I
The Good
watched
Fight
Twilight
is
Zone.
good.
My
I do
wife
watch Twilight
watches. I haven't seen Twilight Zone yet,
alright.
but I'm planning to check it out. My wife watches The Good Fight. I occasionally watch with her, but they have a bunch of other shows on there that I really don't think anybody's watching. So for me, I think that if you had a Pike Enterprise show, I think it's gold. I think right now for what you've done, your viewership for a Pike Enterprise show would probably outdo your Discovery viewership. I think it's a gold
might.
mine.
Is it CBS All Access or is it just Trek All Access on this thing?
At this point, if you're trying to drive people to a pay subscription,
And you just give me Star Trek and Jordan Peele, I'm in.
I mean, you're probably right. I mean,
So if we're talking spinoffs, the Picard spinoff is definitely going to happen. It's not going to be.
It's already starting production.
It's not going to be Picard on season 3 of Discovery.
Right.
They
You know
have,
what else is starting
But
production?
Patrick Stewart is
season
confirmed
3.
for it.
well, and you've got this Section 31, which we see now is clearly going to be led by Ash Tyler.
because Giorgio went with them.
Are they still doing
Yeah.
a Section 31 show?
They are. So he also talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's apparently they said if you enjoyed Deep Space Nine, you are going to really like what's going to happen with Section
The
31.
only person I know who enjoyed Deep Space Nine is Mike.
I know many people who enjoy Deep Space Nine.
There are
They-
dozens of us.
They hang out with the Enterprise people.
I have my calendar marked for the DS9 documentary that is going to be playing in theaters next month.
Mike, my
be there.
understanding is that anytime Enterprise is mentioned,
He didn't mention Enterprise.
he just
I did. Actually.
Oh, you did?
I did.
It's been a long
Oh, man.
time
That's what I need every time it's mentioned.
getting from there.
That'll be the last time I say those words.
So do we want to flash back to
Where are we? Where are we?
Oh man.
Okay.
So we're at Hugh and Paul having their moment where he's about to put him into a coma.
was a
Did I
cute
jump?
moment.
It was good.
I was worried there for a second that the whole like sick bay was going to blow up or something.
I was very concerned.
Meanwhile, there's also the space battle going on, and we actually have a very great action scene trope where one person jumps slow-mo in front of a bullet to take a bullet for someone else, except for in this case, it's the Enterprise ship slowly
true.
jumping in front of Discovery.
I fucking love that.
Loved it.
Their shields don't work. We're going to take the hit for them. The hits.
Loved
the many hits.
it.
Yeah, that was so great.
You know what? I'm usually the first one to jump on a stupid trope, but I didn't see that at all, and
Really?
all I saw
I-
was greatness.
I heard the Enterprise going, no. It was so good.
I was so caught up in just seeing the saucer section take these shots that I was
It
in.
was like Dom jumping in front of Letty, man. It was good.
And we get, is it time to get into the most awesome action sequence of this episode? Or is that where you're at, too?
the signal reviews? Where are you at?
Oh, no. I thought we were at the Iron Man suit thing forming around.
Yeah.
Burnham.
She got a well-deserved superhero moment.
Yes.
It was so good.
She puts on the suit, which is badass.
Yes.
It forms to her.
And goes on better than the Iron Man suit.
Right?
I gotta say.
Swoop. And then she does the hand thing with Spock, which is cute.
The
And
hand thing.
It was a nice
Live
payoff.
long and prosper.
Is it called to live long and prosper? Or is it like
The Vulcan salute.
It's a Vulcan salute.
Yeah.
Little Vulcan, how you doing? Is that what it is?
Little Vulcan high five.
It's like aloha. It can mean hello, goodbye, I love you.
And then I love her taking her starting position.
Yeah.
She's like,
So dope.
I'm about to run, and like how this is filmed, man. The director, that dude, Olatunde, is fucking awesome.
Look,
The action
she-
sequences were amazing.
She could definitely be the anchor on my 4x100 team for sure. The way she was running out the
She's
dock,
ready.
yeah.
Great suspense, great mood building when they're lowering those shields and she's about to jump into the fray. I mean, I was so locked in.
And then, yeah, her like just shooting through space, and then she gets like a little hit, and you're like, no,
It was
everything's
amazing. It really was well done.
It was super
Like,
good. And then,
Did you guys get the impression that Leland was like pinging the ship constantly, like energize, ah shit, energize, ah shit, energize, and then all
He
of a sudden
could've-
the shield goes down. He's like, energize, oh sweet, I got in, I'm in, I did it.
Yeah, it's like, captains, something came on the ship. Hey, it's Leland.
Surprise!
He must have just kept trying until they lowered the
Yeah.
shields. He's like, they're gonna do it at some point.
I thought it was more, I don't know, strategic than random. But I was also a little disappointed.
I love that when he shows up, just Nan and Giorgio are just so fucking horny to kill him.
We're gonna make him scream. Yum yum.
Yum, yum.
Oh my goodness. I was just happy that everybody on the bridge didn't die like they did in the in the Vision.
Division. Yeah.
Well, Michael wasn't on the bridge.
This is
Right.
true.
Like she was like afraid of this premonition, but I'm like, even you not being there when the big shootout happens, and it seems like some people took some hits and might have died, but no one we really give a fuck about. So.
Well, I mean, at one point I asked myself, did they bring the actress who plays Ariam back only to kill her?
oh, is that what it is?
Like
no.
I was like, where'd she go?
She finally got lines this episode.
I know, but she kind of disappeared there for a second. I was like, they didn't kill her, right?
No.
And they didn't.
And then I thought it was helpful. We finally get sort of like a little review of all of the signals, right? So they're going through all of
Yeah,
them
that was helpful.
once they hit their little like asteroid, whatever thing, broken ship that they landed on,
It
whatever
was
they were
also
using.
clever that, like, you know, once she established, like, I can't go forward, my immediate thought was, like, well, then you could probably go back at least.
Yeah.
And then they explained, like, yeah, she's going to go back in time.
I was a little worried that they were going to send everybody in the show back in time, so it's a prequel to the prequel.
No,
but
To
then-
Enterprise?
To the 20th
Yeah, yeah.
Like to the 21st
Yeah.
century.
Hey guys, we're in 2019. Yay.
I like the fact that they went ahead and
I don't want
and-
anyone to kill me. Sorry.
I like the fact that they went ahead and recapped like the kind of the signals for us.
Yeah, the show gave Michael Burnham a CBS All Access account.
Yes.
And she watched season 2 of Discovery.
But the issue that I had was I was like, what about those of us who have painstakingly been trying to pay attention and count these signals?
Right.
Like it's like you said, oh, that worked. You didn't need to do that. We're gonna give it. Here's a cheat sheet. And I was like, but I know them all already.
Here's a question I have, and I know that Myrriah has the answer. And she
has all the
didn't
answers.
want to tell me the answer before. She said, wait.
Waiting for the pod.
There's 7 signals.
Yes.
Why do we know there are 7 signals? Why did they know in the very beginning, first episode? Because I'm like, they haven't happened, and they happen all throughout time. How do they know there was going to be 7 signals?
So I'm still a little confused, but I went back and I looked up. Apparently, all 7 appeared at once, and they got a slight detection, but they could only hold on to like the signal long enough to find the very first one, and that's when the whole mission started. But that still leaves a bit of a gap of like, when did all of these original 7 appear, or is it just because they've occurred anywhere in the timeline that there's like a radiation wave that they've occurred? I have no idea.
Like an imprint that kind of goes backwards and forward.
Yeah,
it's
I don't know.
a little bit sketchy. They should have had something where, Burnham says, "I'm gonna send quick 7 dots, and then I'm gonna lay out every 7 in a row."
During my hot take, when I talk about my nits to pick, this is the one.
This is it.
Well,
Yeah.
didn't we see that with Spock also?
Spike?
I'm not saying that. That's what you say. I'm saying
tried.
Spock. I was close. But didn't we see? I got to think about it. Thanks, Mike. Didn't we see that when Spock was younger? Didn't he draw the symbols in the Red Angel? Was there 7?
Yeah, but they
didn't he-
discovered that after the fact, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm like, I need to go like back again because I'm like, are they just assuming there's 7 because Spock says there was 7 because he saw the 7 originally and they've only detected the 1? But I was like, I remember them all talking about these 7 signals. So they all confirmed that they existed at some point. So I don't know if it's because of like the wormhole situation that occurs when she does the jump, if that creates some sort of a pattern that's detectable or...
That was an extreme wormhole. too.
Yes,
It
and
was a
there's-
wormhole extreme.
If while we're being nitpicky, there's also something a little sketchy or weird or unclarified about how long she's in each one. Because that very first one, she's in there, and is she like hiding behind an asteroid for a little bit until she gets a chance to like peek out at her younger self and go, "Oh, it's me, but I'm blurry, so you can't really see me."
Well,
Like,
none of
and
that,
then the other one,
none
like,
of that made any sense.
she just kind of like bloops in and out, and then another one, she like chills there until Saru gets to see her. I'm like, I don't get the consistency of like how long you're there, and are you like hiding and waiting to like Bill and Ted make your appearance here or there? And
I don't know.
I think it was the artifice of the show showing us. It was the show just showing us what it wanted us to see. We didn't exactly see everything that she saw and experienced while she was jumping back, right? It was just storytelling.
And I'm not sure that it was for those of us who are like hardcore, I don't know, who spend an hour after the show talking about the show and what happened in the show. I don't know that it was that needed, but it was this recap. And I was just thinking like, all right, great. I know what these are. Can we get to what 6 and 7 are?
Yeah, well, I appreciated it because the first signal's Hiawatha, second one is Terry Elysium, where apparently we're going back to in the future. Then we had Kaminar, which was the third signal. Borth was the
Borth.
fourth
Yep.
signal.
Time Crystal Cave.
Yeah, and then Zahia, where we find the queen. And I thought it was a really elegant idea that every signal led Discovery to either a person, a place, a thing, or some information that helped them win this final battle.
That was a nice tie-in, yeah.
It also looked fucking cool. Like she was being sucked through this like mercury
Oh,
drop
yeah.
or something.
When
And
it
called
like
it a
works
time
and it
bubble.
you can like see the curvature of the universe, I guess. Like,
right,
it looked really cool.
And then all the dots like through that trippy light show thing she was going through.
It was
and then
very-
the, like red line.
It was very reminiscent of Star Trek: The Motion Picture, where Spock actually puts on this spacesuit and, against orders, leaves the Enterprise and goes into deep space to meld with this unknown, dangerous being. And the visual aesthetic there was really echoed here in this episode when Burnham goes through the time portal.
See, I was just thinking that it was very reminiscent of Spaceballs, where they go like plaid. but,
He's gone to
But-
plaid.
but now that you mention that, Mike, I'll go with your take instead. 'Cause I agree with what he said.
Meanwhile, we already kind of touched on this earlier, but the Klingon Cleave ship
Yeah.
shows up to the rescue, as well as Sarana and the Kelpians, who have somehow. You guys explain this one to me. Somehow, in the course of what must have been a matter of weeks, she went from being a Kelpian who has known nothing but living life on this planet,
Mining seaweed.
mining seaweed,
Kelp.
to being a starfighter among a clan of them who all have spaceships. Where was that leap in technology? That
She
happened
went through
here?
the change, man. The ganglia fell off.
And they're all like,
became-
let's make spaceships that we already know how to make.
No,
and
they-
fly
They
in."
stole.
they took the ships.
Yes.
They stole the ships from their oppressors that they ran
From the
out
Dementors.
of.
They took
Yeah.
them.
So the Dementors,
The wet Dementors
The wet
were gone.
Dementors.
They kicked them out and they stole their ships.
the Dementors who were afraid that the Kelpians would just take them over, were right.
Yeah, they were.
The Kelpians just
They could have
obliterated
just
them.
borrowed the ships. You don't know.
Maybe
could
they're
have worked
bros.
some diplomatic stuff out.
Hey, can you guys help us teach us how to fly this? And okay, we're good. You're dead.
Bye-bye.
That's probably what happened. Yeah.
That's what I'm guessing.
Clyde, did you like these Klingons? We got some like kind of old school looking Klingons. We got the bridge of that ship with the red light looked very TNG motion picture Klingon style. That was really cool.
I'm gonna be honest. Was Worf there?
Worf was not there.
Was anyone from his lineage there? The House of Moog?
I don't know.
Then no, I didn't like. No, no, I thought it was okay. I first of all, I think the Klingons have some of the coolest ships in terms of just like an angry looking ship.
We saw
Yeah.
saw birds of prey that looked like birds of prey. That was
sure did.
that was a fan nut moment for me. That was so good.
So I think, look, if you're gonna go into a battle with the evil not Borg control, then I'll tell you what. You know who you want with you? You want some Klingons, and if you can get them, some Romulans. Right, because their ships are just on another, like from a warfaring
Watching
species.
it just tear through them and
I
it just
know.
being this massive like monolith, I was like, yes.
Yeah, so I did love that, and I was like, when I saw that, I was thinking, oh, they might win this. Like they're gonna be okay.
I also love Laurel with just like, I thought I wasn't going to have a bloody,
She was great, and it was
She was
such
so
an earned
great.
moment.
But that's the Klingons that I think we know. So did I love the look of them? I don't know, but it felt like a familiar Klingon.
It's a good day to die.
yeah,
Right.
that's what I'm saying. It was the Klingon aesthetic and attitude that we love.
Yes, and the the Chancellor. Whereas if you go back to like the first couple episodes of season 1, those were power hungry Klingons, but they didn't feel that familiar. These Klingons felt familiar,
I think the hair helps.
probably.
It really does.
And then we get the rad anti-gravity fight with Leland versus the ladies.
Inception, the hallway that's spinning.
Yeah. I loved it. I
thought it
like
was great.
I like people getting sucked out of the whole breach too. That was great.
I mean, they just needed red shirts on, and
You know
that
what?
would have been perfect for them.
I wasn't really feeling Non and Giorgio like having a cheeky off on like who could like say these catty lines to Leland. I don't know. It felt like that's Giorgio's turf. Like I want her to say all these lines to him because she already knows him. She can be like, yeah, fuck you, we're gonna kill you. I want to hear you scream. But like Non doing it too, I'm like, it's a little much. I want you to be like the straight man in this scenario.
I struggle with this scene just a little bit because, I mean, what we know is that Control, it's really hard to kill Control, right? Like, this isn't something that was easy. It's not like you're going up against, somebody that you know who can fight. So I thought they didn't take it as life-threatening or difficult as it should have been.
but they made it fun, right?
I feel like
But they got their
she had
butts
a
kicked,
plan
too.
the whole time, though.
right.
Like she was just leading because they run away from
She's
him.
baiting him.
They're like, we got to piss him off so that he will follow.
She was rocking him. She was taking the beating so that eventually she could come back in the last round and kill him.
Exactly.
Magnets.
with magnets.
Magnets, bro. Yeah, we got it.
And then Tilly goes on a little mission to fix the.
Oh, right.
The
She's like, I hope I can do this blindfolded. Why? Because I've only ever done this in a drinking game.
I loved
cute
it,
moment.
though. I loved it because
and she's sitting there with her eyes closed, like doing it.
the whole thing about Tilly that struck me was I keep looking for this traditional engineer in the show, right? I'm looking for a Scotty. I'm looking for a Torres. I'm looking for a Geordie, right?
She's getting there because it felt very like, I got it. I got
And
it.
that's
I got
the
it.
thing.
Like,
And for the first time, and I keep looking at it in different people, whether I'm looking at it in Stamets, and then the minute that we get kind of Jet Reno, I was like, oh, it's going to be Jet. It's not Jet. Jet has her own thing. But in this moment, I got that from Tilly. Like when she's in that, like, I don't know, that corridor and she's trying to get it. And it's like, one more minute and I'm almost there. I was like, I'm home. Like that, it felt familiar to me. Again, the show is turning into something that I'm like, this is Trek.
She's a goofy, immature prodigy, and It's a fun character.
Did you just call her Wesley Crusher? That's not okay.
I don't know.
Not
I don't
okay.
No, he didn't.
Okay.
I love how she can be so unprofessional at times, but she gets shit done.
Yes.
The only thing that bugged me a little bit with her character in this episode was,
She needed a ponytail holder?
well, no, I get that. So
Yeah.
the curls cannot be contained.
Yeah, Myrriah understands.
I totally feel her pain. But when she leaves Stamets, I didn't buy that she would leave that easily. I felt like she needed a little bit more of a push.
Well, there was a push. I mean, the safety of the ship was on the line, right?
I know, but I don't know. I needed like even just like a half a second to a second of a linger of her just being like, I can't leave. It was like too easy to get rid of her from this emotional moment.
Are you thinking that because I guess what they've built up is that the relationship between Stamets and Tilly is much closer than her being able just to walk away?
Yes, it's very like mentor-mentee.
Yeah.
I feel like she was like, I needed Wilson Cruz to come over there before she
Right.
left. I
Yes.
think if
And
he had
almost
come,
force her to,
Yes.
you have to go, I've got him.
yes,
Okay.
I needed that,
that.
and then I would have felt better about
That's
the
a good
situation.
call.
Yeah.
But I think they also wanted that like delusional moment of, is it really Culber coming into my vision or not for
Well,
Stamets?
it didn't have to happen like right over him. He could have just been like, I got him. And then she'd be like, okay, and like leave. I don't know.
I'm going to be
Right.
honest, I didn't need that. Like, I like what Myrriah said. Like, I didn't need the blurry vision. That felt a little like a trope to me.
Look, dude, I agree. Myrriah should be a writer on the show.
I'm working on it, guys. I've heard that's what
Let's make
happens
this
to your female hosts is like we come on here and then we get really baller jobs for things like NASA. So
Yeah.
my trajectory is to eventually
Yeah.
get into this writer's room.
You know what you're doing.
I mean, it'll be a revolving chair of incredibly talented women, I guess, will sit here.
Yeah, we are lucky men.
Then I'll just say this, just, when you make it big, remember, bruh. Just, just remember somebody.
So did that emotional goodbye between Spock and Burnham, did that land for you guys?
No.
Okay, tell me why.
Yes and no. I liked what was happening, and I thought it was a great part of, we're never going to see each other again. Perfect for the canon. We've been through so far. I just thought the timing of people dying around them while they had this emotional goodbye was, I struggled
Okay.
a little bit.
Right.
But in terms of what was what they were saying, when I could pay attention and not thinking about people on the ship being blown out of airlocks, I liked it.
I have another piece from y'all should read the interview. It was really good.
We don't have to. You're summarizing
I
it.
was going to.
I'll
but
send
no,
it to
no.
y'all. I saved the tweet. So I
No,
can
what
send it
people
to
should
y'all.
do is just listen to Myrriah on our podcast.
Yes.
We're good to go.
I'm here for you. You don't have to read. Who wants to read? Just listen.
You're listening to a podcast. Why would you read anything?
But they
Our
were
listeners are our readers are our listeners. Our listeners are illiterate. That's all I'm trying to say.
You guys are a bunch of dummies.
oh no.
Grant does not speak on behalf of the people on this podcast. Send all tweets to Baron Von Grant.
At Baron Von Grant.
For all complaints. No, well, he was talking about how they felt it was really important to have that moment so that they really set up Spock within the realm of the canon so that he would actually connect with Kirk.
Yeah.
Yes,
And-
I
and-
did like that.
Essentially,
Pretty
yeah,
heavy-handed.
it was a little heavy-handed, but
It was the most heavy-handed part of the episode.
I thought
for
it was
sure.
super subtle.
Sir, please exit the room, please.
Find that person farthest from you. His name will be Captain Kirk,
he's gonna love green ladies,
and connect with him.
and you guys are gonna be great together.
This guy, you're going to know him because he fucks.
Look, I just want to say that as a fan of this TV show called Lost, when Burnham was saying, or Spock was saying that Burnham saved him, and essentially danced around saying the exact same thing of "You're my constant."
Yeah.
I was just like, "You got me."
I literally wrote that down, and next to it, I was like, Grant lost. Like, it's going to happen.
I mean,
Like when I wrote Clyde writing letter to save Stamets.
Alex Kurtzman, y'all.
And then I guess because we've been jumping around this area of the episode, we're at the point where the Admiral and Number One are trying to get rid of the missile, right? And I was a little concerned for Pike, who just stands outside of the door and
Right.
watches her
Why would
die.
you watch that?
Like, I get it's like a respect thing. You know,
Yeah.
you're like, I'm going to maintain eye contact with you, but then I'd be like, and there's the beep, I'm going to turn around. Because, like, do you really want to see that?
Was not
Especially through the glass.
It was
Right?
not established that they were shields, right? Blocking the
It
door.
was a blast door, so the idea is that door
That's a torpedo.
is supposed to keep
Right.
that section of this ship okay.
Well,
You
are
hope.
we sad?
Shrug.
Are we sad that
Yeah,
say bye to Cornwall?
I am a little sad. 'Cause I
I
thought
like
she was
her.
a cool character.
I thought it was fascinating that she, she's like she was one of the most insightful people on the show.
She was one of the highest ranked political figures of the
She
show
was
as
the
well.
The highest rank.
Yeah.
Therapist as well, right?
Yes.
but
We're down. Oh God, they're in the future with no therapists again. Ugh, get ready for next season,
They're
y'all.
fucked.
But when Pike is there with her and they're debating like who should stay, and she essentially is like, "Look, you know your future or whatever."
You know you can't be in here.
And I'm thinking, did he ever actually say that to her? I doubt he would say that to anyone. It just goes to show that she's able to read in his expressions,
Right.
read his actions, and how he feels about stuff. Maybe he's a little bit too daredeviling. What's the term?
I think
Daring.
she also had made the point, though, that Pike is too important to how she sees the future of Starfleet moving forward. And
Right.
she's like, we cannot lose your knowledge and your experience. She's like, I've had my time and I've passed it along to you. Now use what I've taught you.
Well, also, you can't tie up all the things in this series with canon and then screw it up by blowing Pike up.
Right.
I would have went from, wow, they did a great job of tying everything back to what we know, to seriously?
Well, I
now
thought-
you're just screwing with us.
That moment really underscored what Cornwall said a few episodes ago.
Little respect, man. Admiral Cornwall.
Admiral Cornwall.
Rest in peace.
Rest in power.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it really underscored what she said a few weeks ago, which really hit home for me, that Pike is the type of person who is going to inspire what Starfleet and the Federation becomes, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the Federation we see with Kirk and especially with Picard.
She just knows Pike, that Kirk's already at the academy, and she's like, you got to go deal with this hot mess. Go.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that someone that high up would sacrifice themselves when you theoretically, number one, could have done it.
Right, but I think it's also, if you go back to military things, it's like the captain goes down with the ship, and so she's like, I outrank you as the captain, so I am going down with the
It was
ship.
a pretty good move.
I like that arm shake between her and number one, that shake of respect. That was pretty great.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Giorgio locks Leland in the spore tub
Magnets.
with the magnets, and there was part of me that was hoping that hallucination girl from Tilly's Hallucination Girl was going to show up in the spore cage and take him down or something.
Yeah, what happened to her?
The manifestation of the spores and they take you down. And I was like, she's on the team too. But him, we already kind of talked about this a little bit, but him being ripped apart was kind of brutal, wasn't it
was pretty
I
bad.
know that
Pretty dark.
Saru's telling us, the audience, and everyone on the ship, it's not a person, but it still is kind of like an actor.
She was like,
It's
I
a
want to
person.
hear you scream, bitch. And he screams.
Ugh. It was just grisly.
Which I thought was interesting, so they take over a carbon figure, right? So is any form of his life still left in that body? Or
yes,
is it
because
just...
they still detected a life form on
Right.
him. He was the only one. But I'm like, is it like Cypher from Matrix? Like he kind of willingly gave up his body?
I don't know. I was like, when I saw them coming out of him, I was like, well, are they going to come out and then it's just actual dead Leland? Or is it, I don't know. I was very interested in
And is
how that
control
worked.
gone, or are those do they have to expunge
Vacuum them up?
Yeah, where do they put them in a little
They have a little
containment thing?
Dust bunny. They're going to...
I think what we've seen so far from Star Trek, at least what we think we've seen so far, is that they don't leave all of these threads in a way that it's like, well, we can bring these characters back anytime we want them. It feels like Lorca is gone, right? It feels like...
We'll see
I
about
know.
that.
And it feels like, at this point, control is gone. And I'm
Yes.
hoping that that's where we are. Though, a bunch of theoretically dead nanites in a containment area that you need to navigate seems like a pretty careless move.
So in the Hollywood Reporter interview,
Yes.
he confirms Control is dead.
Okay.
So that is not going to be. They
just need to clean
It
it
seems
up.
like that is not going to be their plot line.
So even though we had all these Borg signifiers, it's
Yeah,
not
I
gonna
think they're just
be-
like, shut up, guys. There's no Borg.
Yeah.
I'll
Put a
jump in.
bow on it.
I don't know. If I'm Stamets, though, I'm like looking. If the next time we've got to do a spore jump, I'm in there thinking like, I hope I'm okay.
Right? There's not some little nanite in here to take over.
Sixth signal was the ship going through the wormhole to kind of point the way for Discovery. Seventh was going to be a signal back to Spock. Hey, we're A-okay. We made it. What did you think, Clyde? You were like, I don't know if I can handle two red dots in an episode.
Done well. I mean,
Technically, we got 7 in an episode.
yeah, the other 5. But those last 2. Here's the thing. It's not like we had to travel to the dots, save people, then travel to another dot, save people. It was a rationale about where those dots and how. And again, I'm big on closure, and so they closed it up, tied it
close
up.
the loop really well.
They
Yeah.
did, and so it worked for me.
I was so excited when we swoop in on San Francisco, a la the Federation.
Right.
I was like, I've been waiting for this.
I mean, I have to admit, they do it in every series, every movie at some point, and I gotta say, I love it every time.
It's always
So
cool.
good.
Every time I visit San Francisco, I'm like, let's go visit Starfleet.
Yes.
My friends and I in college used to like go back in the timeline and we're like, guys, it's only like 5 years from when Starfleet's going to start happening. We all need to move to San Francisco.
Nice.
Yeah.
See that old ass Golden Gate Bridge still using old school solar panels over the whole thing? I'm like, what?
Why not?
I don't know. So yeah, they all agree upon a lie.
Mm-hmm.
They say this is what we're gonna do to protect those people, protect the future, and prevent any replication of spore drives and time travel suits and time crystals and the exploitation of that.
Regulation 157, Section 3.
I want to go back for just a second and ask a question. First, I will say that I really liked that farewell montage as they were entering the wormhole.
Like everyone who's like losing someone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
little
did you guys
goodbyes.
think? Did you guys like that? Was
I
it
like
too
those
much?
little touches, yeah, especially for like Saru's sister who's actually there. You know, it was like very meaningful for all the characters who were there for that moment.
See, this is what I'm talking about when I'm like when we think back to some of the episodes where it's like, wow, that's just really saccharine, like it's too much. And I know I'm the This Is Us guy, but this to me felt like just the right touch of like emotional connection that ties into the story but doesn't pull away from the story. Yeah. Like I think what they're doing with the drama and the emotion in the series now is done really well.
Like and Pike says like goodbye friends, goodbye family or something like that.
My family.
I thought the family was a little much.
Did you? I don't know. I thought like
It worked. It worked for me.
I was kind of like, really? Your
he
family?
made a real connection with them. They
Thought the
saved each other's
Enterprise-
life.
Thought the
multiple
Enterprise was your family.
I mean, those are like his aunt, uncles, and cousins.
Okay.
And then like Enterprise is his like parents and kids.
Goodbye, extended family. Is that what you needed?
Goodbye, friends. Holla at your homies.
I think
Like,
it's also more of like the idea that the Federation is a family.
oh,
Yeah.
right with the deep quotes. I like that.
It's also something they said in the Hollywood Reporter.
I was going to say, that's a Kurtzman quote, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Kurtzman quote.
Yeah.
They're talking about the need to create this like familial tie within the Federation sort of community, and that was like a big theme for them for this season.
And just like that, I guess I'm okay with it. I guess it works for me now.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Spock says, we'll never speak of this again. And Clyde goes, that's all I needed. There we go.
You make it now that you say it like that, Grant. I feel like maybe it should have been more, but I'm gonna stay with it. No, it worked for me.
So I got some really pretty nice Nimoy vibes from Ethan Peck at the end of this episode. You guys agree?
Yes.
The removal of the beard, and I feel like he really cleaned up his brows. Like the brows were so much more predominant now that the beard is gone.
bowl cut.
And he cut the hair so that the ears, like you could really see the ears. Like I think up until this point, what I realized when he stepped out of that elevator was, whoa, what we all know of Spock, like the feature that we all kind of honed in on in the original series were the ears. And up until this point, I just kind of assumed that we knew it was there, and it's not something that we think about physically anymore. But once he kind of cleaned up the hair, I was like, oh yeah, Vulcan ears, very prominent.
I do wish there was some TOS reference with some sweet eye makeup like the old series.
Oh yeah.
Clyde's also going to need that scene where his nose changes size a little bit. There's the so he looks a little bit more like Leonard Nimoy.
No.
The Pinocchio episode.
He just gets punched in the face by Kirk eventually.
That'll do it.
I will say this, though. There was a moment in seeing him that I was reminded that Leonard Nimoy's not with us anymore. And I was a little sad. Like, there was a moment there that I kind of thought about that.
Yeah, for sure.
What is Edrin 2? Was that a reference to anything in particular that you guys know of? Because they say
them going to the moon.
There's like, let's go check out Edrin 2 is what Pike said, and I thought maybe that's like a little nod to something.
It might be, but I'm not sure what
Not
it is.
one that I'm aware of.
But that final scene echoed the final scene of a lot of original series movies where the adventure's done and Kirk just looks out and says, "Next star on the left, let's go."
What's next?
What's next? Yeah. And it was great. And it just felt like they were setting up a young Enterprise show with Pike, with Spock, with Darth Maul-looking lady on the bridge.
I mean, if they do, I'm watching it.
Yeah, me too.
Appointment TV watching that, even if we don't do a podcast.
The final two words in the season were "hit it," right?
Yes.
Pike's catchphrase, which is the best catchphrase
Terrible
ever.
catchphrase.
And then we get some like sweet reference to the old theme song music with the orchestra.
I have to admit, I got excited.
I freaking love the original theme song.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would love it. I enjoyed, and I think it came in a couple places in this episode where they just kind of it was in there a little bit, and I kind of really dug it.
Yeah, especially in the finale, in the last like 5 minutes.
One more question I got for you guys. Did you cry at any point in this episode?
You know what? I was not a fan of the scenes we got earlier in the season of young Michael Burnham and young Spock as kids together.
Right.
But when they flash back to these episodes, I almost teared up. That was the only thing that made me tear up when they said goodbye and they flashed back to their experiences as children. Even though I didn't like those scenes before, it made me emotional.
See, I'm always fascinated by this. Like, I'm an emotional robot. I watch this stuff and I'm like, oh, that's really well done. But I never like end up like someone was just posting about Iron Giant. I'm like, yeah, that had no effect on me.
Did you get emotional at all here?
No, except for the two ships taking the bullets
Right.
and the slow mo shot of one.
I have weird moments where I get emotional, and it's always when women are kicking someone's ass.
Yeah.
Like, literally any movie, if I watch it and there's a woman who just like freaking takes somebody down, I get over. Like, me and Wonder Woman was a mess. I was a mess throughout all of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So like this, anytime it was like Burnham getting ready to run, I'm like, fuck yeah, she's gonna save the universe. And then when Giorgio and Nan are just like kicking his ass and he's like holding her up and she's like, I got a plan and you don't even know it. I'm like, yes, you have a plan, you manipulative, wonderful bitch. Like,
Love it.
anyway, that's where I cry. It's when women are kicking people's ass.
I can't say that there was a moment where I was ready to cry.
No?
No, I know, and I'm supposed to be the emotional one here. But no.
This isn't a This Is Us episode.
Well, I mean,
some more heartstrings
I
to pull.
can say this because oddly enough, there are very few This Is Us listeners who also listen to this podcast. I don't know why that is, but I don't really cry at This Is Us either.
Guys, we're running so long. But I'm having a great time talking about this episode. But I know we usually do our MVPs. Let's save that for our listener feedback episode, which is what we're going to do next week.
Let's also save our who are each of us in Trek then.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's a good call.
let's tease that and save that for next week. And listener, again, if you want to be a part of our listener feedback episode, where you call us, you leave a voicemail message, and you give us something to talk about, ask us a question about Trek, about the pod, whatever. 833 Trek Pod. That's 833-873-5763. All you got to do is call. You leave a message. If you fuck up on your message, just fine. Hang up. Call back again. And we'll get your message. We'll play it on the show. It'll generate some conversation. We'll answer any questions you have.
And if you're feeling that emptiness at the end of a season and you're like, man, I need my weekly fix. I need to be able to talk to kindred people. Patreon.com/Star Trek Pod. Make that $2 donation. And please come join us on Slack. We would love to chat with you guys about Trek. It's a lot of fun.
Guys, this has been a great season. Myrriah, I'm so glad you joined us
Oh, thanks.
hell yeah.
this season.
Yes.
Oh man,
Fun.
you made the pod so much better. I mean, we were holding it down, I thought pretty well, but I mean,
We were falling apart at the same
It was a mess.
but you brought so much, and I'm not just talking about the Kurtzman interview that you read today.
Oh, thank you.
You're talking about the brownies and the sweets she brought. A couple
yeah,
weeks
and
ago.
the Brute East Siders tonight.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like snacks and drinks.
Thank you for the snacks and drinks
and elevating our conversation.
very much.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for inviting me, guys. It's been super fun, and I'm really excited to keep talking some Trek.
Yeah, let's keep talking to Trek. We hopefully will do some more episodes in the off season. We do have that feedback episode. Guys, if you can call in to the hotline between now, when we drop this episode, and want to say maybe Thursday? Yeah,
or so.
between now and Thursday. What's the date on that?
The 26th.
26. Between now and like the morning or afternoon of the 26th.
Sorry, the 25th.
The 25th.
I lied.
Between the day after this episode premieres and the 25th, 833 Trek Pod. Leave your messages, and we'll feature them on the show. What?
I just have to pee.
Oh. And Grant has to pee, and with that, live long and prosper.